YT homies? It's your girl Alethea coming back for another video. And in this video, we're going to talk about parents with children with disabilities and whether or not they're exploiting their children or informing the public by sharing things about their children on social media. So before we get into the video, let me give you today's shout out. Today's shout out goes to my subscriber Tanya Whitehorn. She has been following me for years. She actually used to make videos herself, but she stopped. And I used to enjoy her videos, but on my video about the BBL, I'm looking at that one, and she says in my video, this is totally relatable. Folks have to mind the business that pays them. LOL. People teased me about my looks and height for years. Thank God for good therapy. And that's another thing. That's something we need to talk about too. Therapy with the black people. But anyway, I get off. Y'all know. So thank you so much, Tanya, for being a consistent subscriber throughout the years. I really do appreciate it. It does not go unnoticed. I thank and appreciate the rest of you guys, and I thank all the newbies, and I thank all my oldie but goodies. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. So now, let's get into the video. So let's get started. So I watch TikTok, just like y'all do, right? Y'all know, because I came to y'all already talking about the stud or lesbian stuff I see on TikTok. Y'all, when I tell y'all, TikTok will open you up to so much stuff you have not seen, and I could just go on and on with different conversations from different things that I see on TikTok. But let me get myself focused and not stray away from the reason why I'm making this video. And this is just my paint pot. I'm priming with my paint pot, but I'm also putting my paint pot on my lines and my creases. I saw this on Savannah Silver's channel. She hasn't been doing it lately. At least I haven't seen her do it lately. And so I tried a couple of times, and I do like it. It does help with the lines. And, you know, your laugh lines and all that kind of stuff, smile lines and everything. But anyway, so that does help. And I need to adjust this air conditioner, this heater, because it is warm. So like I was saying, there is so much. I feel like I'm green. I thought I was a woman of the world. I thought I knew a lot, but TikTok has taught me a lot of stuff I don't know. All right, so for my look, I'm going to use this Natasha Denona light palette. I used it yesterday by itself. You guys know I did the video comparing the two. And I have not used the dark one by itself yet. But, of course, like I said, I've used the light one by itself. And I like it. I like it. I like it better than when I did the video. Because when I did the video, I think I went in with too light of a hand on with the dark and the light. But anyway, so you guys know I teach ELA. I teach American literature. Let me break it down for you what I teach and then kind of give it some context. All right, so I teach American literature for 4 sections. I teach journalism for 1 section. I teach AP language and American literature combined for 1 section. And for those of you that don't know what AP is, that's advanced placement, where the students are supposed to be at a higher caliber than the other students. So with that being said, I have been teaching literature exclusively now for 6 years. Okay, so here's how things started. When I started out teaching, I did not start off as a regular education teacher. I started off as a special education teacher. And one of the things about getting into education for me, and I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, education was supposed to be a way for me to teach while I learn, right? So anyway, I started off as a special education teacher. That is what my bachelor's degree is in. When I first started working, I got hired. Originally, when I got hired by our school district, not a particular school. And the school district hired me to be an autism teacher. And I was going to teach an autism class exclusively. And when I went to the school, once they assigned me to the school and I went to the school to meet the principal, there was another person that had got hired as well by the district. It's one of my friends. And when I went to the school, there was a teacher that was retiring from the MOID class, Moderate Intellectual Disabilities. So my principal made the executive decision to put me in to teach MOID and to put my friend, which is a guy, in the class with the autism students. So he was in there with him and 2 parapros with the autism class. All right, and so a lot of those students in that autism class were non-verbal students. Now, I went to MOID, what he moved me to. But when I was in MOID, I had a different type of students. I had some students with autism, because students with autism, the spectrum is wide. And so I had students with autism, I had students with learning disabilities that, you know, were just low functioning. I had all different types of students. But anyway, within my first 3 weeks of being there, there was a teacher that retired that was a co-teacher. And so they needed somebody in a section of English. So they took me out of my MOID class, because I was the new kid on the block, took me out of my MOID class and put me in one section of English. Well, the next thing I know, before the half of the year had gone by, they took me totally out of the MOID class. They got rid of that MOID class and combined it with the 2 other ones, because we had 3 MOID classes total. And they combined it with the other one, and they moved me totally to co-teaching. So at that point, I was co-teaching one section of English, and I was teaching one section of English, and then when they changed me, I ended up being in English like maybe three sections and 3 sections of history. So while I was in there, I knew in high school I liked English, but I was a math person, oddly enough. I liked math better than English. So, and I know I'm giving you context. So I mean, this backstory seems kind of long, but I'm giving you context. But anyway, let's try this one just by itself this morning. But anyway, so while I'm in there and I'm with the English and with the history was okay, but I developed my love for literature being in that co-taught classroom. And so the next year I co-taught American literature and British literature. As a matter of fact, yeah, I taught American literature and British literature. That first year I ended up being with 2 different ELA teachers and one history teacher. I kind of floated from teacher person to person. But anyway, so the next year I ended up being all ELA, and then the next year it was all ELA. I co-taught British literature and American literature the next year, and then the next year it was just all American literature. And so then the principal, yeah, so then next year, before the end of that year came up, we were about to lose an MOID teacher. So the principal came to me and asked me if I would be willing to go back to MOID. And right off the bat, I said yes. And I said yes for 2 reasons. Because I love special needs children, and that's what I started off to do. And because with me being with someone else, this would give me back to be by myself. Because it's a lot of people love co-teaching, but for me, and it could have been just the teacher that I was with, it wasn't the greatest co-teaching environment. I learned a lot now. I learned a lot from him. But when you have classes with co-taught settings, sometimes some teachers, depending on who they are, do not treat their special education teacher the way they should be treated. And the teacher that I was with, I do not think he treated me the way that I should have been treated. Now, as far as him being a person that I liked, I did. But as far as being someone that I liked co-teaching with, I did not. So at this point, the next year, I went back to MOID. So I taught MOID for the next 2 years. But when I went back, some stuff had changed, and we had a lot more students in the MOID section with autism. I don't know how it happened or what have you, but anyway. So I had a wide variety of students, and I had about 15 students. 15, and the max was supposed to be like 12, but I had a plethora of students. So I was in there. But now, like I said, I started to love English. So I started studying myself on my own, other than what I had learned while I was in there with the co-teacher. I decided to start studying myself to be an English teacher, whether it was in a co-taught setting or whether it was me transitioning to go on my own. So I stayed in MOID for those 2 years. And then the next year, my principal asked me, he knew that I was trying to learn the English that I needed to learn to take the test to teach ELA. And so he came to me and he asked me, was I ready to teach English? Because they needed an English teacher. And I said, I don't know, but I'm willing to try. So the next year, I moved from special education to ELA. And I went from being a co-teacher to having a co-teacher. But I didn't have a co-teacher all day. So now, that's how I transitioned and went to teaching regular ed. And I give you all that background knowledge to say that I know how it is and how it is to handle and deal with children with the disabilities. Children on the spectrum, children that have learning disabilities, students that have ADHD, you know, whatever may be their disability. I have worked with it all. So you learn a lot of things about children with autism and all that kind of stuff. And if you know about children with autism, you know that they STEM, they do things like, for instance, I had a student, I'm going to pretend that this is a string, but he used to do this all day. He used to do this all day with string. Just do this. I had seen some students that would just do their finger like this. As a matter of fact, I watched Miss Vaughn TV. Her daughter has autism, and I can see when she shows her in the video, I'll see her doing her hand like this. There are children with autism that will do things that could hurt them, like beat their head, bite themselves and all that, which brings me to, there is a lady on TikTok, and she has a son with autism. And her son he bites his wrist. Whenever he is kind of upset, something is going on, he bites his wrist. And so you can clearly see the marks on his wrist where he bites his wrist. But when you see him and her in their interaction, and he's a verbal speaking, he's verbal with his autism, and he goes to school, and I mean the interaction between the two of them is hilarious at times. But he's 20 years old and he still goes to school. So for those of you, and then some people in the comment section even asked her, why is he still in school? He's 20 years old. If you know anything about students with disabilities in different districts, I know for our district, I think it's 22 that they could be in school, up to 21, 22, something like that. They have those disabilities like severe and profound students that you may see in wheelchairs and things like that. So, and people come in and ask her stuff like, why is he still in school? And yada, just rude people. But I saw a video one day where she had to come in and basically set some people straight. And here's the thing, a lot of times on TikTok, you see people coming in to set people straight on some things, people that they don't know. And I've never had to do that since I've been on TikTok. I guess because most of my stuff is not serious things and is mostly lighthearted things. But I don't like that people have to come on that platform and explain themselves. So people were in the comment section on one of her videos telling her that it's a shame the way she's using her kid for views, and I mean, it was just ridiculous. And I'm just like, oh my God. So she came in to explain herself and said that I had stopped doing my concealer like this, but I don't know what made me start back. But anyway, she came in and said that she was doing it to teach people. And I get that, and I understand that. And so, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Then there is this parent that I saw on there that has a special bed. Now, if they make a special bed for children with autism, then why would you criticize a parent for getting the bed? Especially, here's the thing, the bed that she has was paid for through like government assistance. So her son elopes. A lot of children with autism have a tendency to elope. And for those of you that don't know, elope means they run off. They just run off. I mean, you just don't know. And her son had a tendency at night to elope, to get up and run, and she didn't know, what was happening. And that can be pretty scary, because contrary to what people believe, there are some people that have to take measures and, with their children that they don't want to take, but you do what you have to do to protect them. And so, like I said, people were criticizing her for the fact that her son, she got that bed for her son, and she explained herself on why she had the bed, which for me, I didn't like that. I don't think she should have had to explain herself. And not just TikTok, and let me go back to Miss Vaughn on YouTube. She bought like one of these things that to connect her and her daughter together. And I don't think anyone has said anything to her, because even reading her comment section, I only saw positive comments related to it. But people in public don't understand things. And when she went to the store, she was kind of hesitant about going to the store with the thing on her daughter, because she didn't want anybody to say anything. And that is so sad that people are scared to take measures to protect their children in public because of what people may say about their children. And so it worked out for her, and I think she's using it on a regular basis. But people shouldn't have to worry about things like that, because just because you don't see or know what's going on with someone, and I remember and I recall when I first saw things like that, I saw it on children that did not have disabilities, mostly people in Caucasian families, because they would use them a lot. And these were children that did not have disabilities, just their children that were kind of very active, let me put it that way. And I never saw them being worried about somebody saying anything about it. I never saw people criticizing them and throwing jabs at them for having their child on one of those things. But anyway, and so she was just, actually, Vaughn, on her video, she just went on a cruise with Royal Caribbean, the cruise line that I have my cruise set with. But anyway, she just went on a cruise with them, and she was telling a story. I watched both parts of her video. They had a really good time. But anyway, I was watching both parts of her video, where she was saying, on the second video where she was giving the story about them on the plane ride back, and something that happened where Ann was kicking the lady's seat in front of her, and then the lady was saying something about, the lady, she said she was taking a nap and she woke up and the lady was looking at Ann like she was ready to come and just get her child. And she said the lady, she didn't say anything at first, she just told the lady she didn't know what she was doing and blah blah blah. And the lady continued to talk, and so she turned around and she told the lady, well, she has autism. And here's the thing. I understand, and I know there are parents, and I've seen it, that just let their children run wild. That just let their children do anything. I understand that. I know there are parents out there. But people can't always assume that you're just letting your child just be rambunctious. I'll use that term, that you're just letting your child be rambunctious, and you're just not, people need to start understanding and realizing there may be other things going on. And I don't think myself that people should have to explain to people what is going on. Now, in that case, with that, if the lady had been a little bit more, because it seemed like when she said she woke up, she wasn't saying anything to Ann, but she had a bit of aggression, in my opinion, on her face, because she did say something about how she had kind of like a scowl on her face. And somebody like that, if she had been a little different and just looked at, she could have just woke Vaughn up and said, ma'am, your daughter is kicking my seat. If Vaughn hadn't woken up when it was going on, she wouldn't have never known that lady was doing it to her child, looking at her child like that, So anyway, but like I'm saying, why is it that these people on TikTok that are sharing about their children, why is it that you call it exploitation? I guess because TikTok pays and you want to say that they're exploiting their child to get views, get money off of views or what have you. I am sure that these people that have these children that they're sharing with, before TikTok even came along, I am quite sure they had ways of getting money. Whether it was from the child's disability check, or whether it was from them working, or whether it was from both. So I highly doubt if they sat and waited around for TikTok to gain money. You know, I don't know. So I just think people need to mind their business. And that is really, really one of the biggest problems we have in the world now. The fact that people will not leave people alone. And it is so, so freaking sad. And I don't know. I just myself, because I don't know if it's because I have been around people that have had children that have disabilities, or if it's the fact that I have taught students with children with disabilities. I really do understand these parents. I really, really, really do. And I just think that, like I said, I just think that people need to stay in their lane and mind their business and leave people alone. Because here's the thing, no parent throughout history, when they found out they were pregnant, said, oh my gosh, I hope this child is a child with disabilities. They may have said, I hope this is a girl, I hope this is a boy, I hope this is multiples. But no one has said, I hope this child has a disability. And so just like a regular parent, so when those people had their children and they realized their child had a disability, they had to learn how to take care of that child. Just like people have to learn how to take care of their children that do not have a disability, because there's no handbook. Now, there may be some books now that tell you about how children develop and grow, but there is no handbook that can truly tell you, that can teach and that can prepare someone to be a parent. Which is why you have some parents that really, really fail at it, and some parents that, you know, that you just have different parents that when they have children, different ways that they teach their children, they interact with their children and stuff like that. And so people that have children that are born with disabilities have to learn how to take care of that child. They had to learn different things. And so when you have platforms like TikTok and YouTube, and they come on those platforms and they tell the rest of the people and show people how their children interact, they are, in my honest opinion, they have chosen to do that for the parents that are learning how to handle their children or what have you. You know, the parents that are new and just had a child. They are there to me. Now, I can't say, some people may be exploiting their children. Don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. But what I'm saying is, it's not the case with everyone. So to put everyone in a box and automatically say that they're exploiting their children and all that, that is just wrong. So let's get this thing wrapped up. Do my hair. Y'all, I turned the heater down and it's still warm in here. I don't know what it is today. And this is all I'm doing to my hair. I'm just going to take it and put it back up like this. And put this thing on here. And like a loose top knot. Because I'm not going to double tie it. Because then it gets too tight and that irritates my head. So just do it like that. Kind of like a pineapple. Put my rings on. My earrings on. But anyway, I appreciate you guys for coming back to watch another video here on my channel. I hope my video made sense to you guys, and I hope I didn't give y'all too much backstory to give you guys the context. But I don't necessarily feel sorry for parents that have children with disabilities, because I know they learn to manage and I know they learn to cope. So, but I do empathize with them for what they have to go through and for the public's scrutiny of them, because, you know, while there are some parents that give up their children for adoption and stuff like that once they find out they have a disability, there are those that stick right there with their child, do what they can for their children. I probably should have turned the heater off because I'm so warm right now. but do what they can for their children. And those that are, you know, have to do the adoption thing because they can't handle it, that is the best thing for them to do, because they need to do what they have to do to take care of their child, even if it's that not them that's taking care of their child. And for those that do keep their children and take, I commend all of them, because you have to make the right decision for your child. Now, those that are out here not doing their children right, shame on you. Shame on you. Thank you guys so much for coming to check out a video on my channel. And for those of you that may not empathize or sympathize with people that have children with disabilities, think about when you see a child out in public with their parent and they may be acting a certain way. Before you go judging that parent and that child, think about what could be going on. Because just because you don't see a disability doesn't mean that it's not there. That's just like when people have handicapped parking spaces. Yes, some people use them illegally, but someone that may have MS or, you know, COPD or whatever, you can't see that. Don't automatically assume that person doesn't have anything wrong with them, because you don't know. And don't assume that they're illegally parking in a handicapped parking spot. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for coming to check out another video here on my channel. I really do appreciate you all. And so until the next time and in between time, you ladies and gentlemen, be safe, and I will do what? Catch you on the flip side. Bye.